Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
23-year-old Westmoreland woman killed in motorcycle collision. A woman was killed after two motorcycles collided in Buffies, Westmoreland early Sunday morning, leaving 3 people hospitalized with injuries. The woman, who has been identified as 23-year-old Kimisha Mary of Buffies in the parish. Reports from the Buffies police are that about 3:40 a.m. two motorcycles were traveling in the same direction when they collided after both drivers lost control. All 4 people were flung from the motorcycles and sustained several injuries. They were taken to hospital where Mary, who was a pillion on the cover motorcycle, was pronounced dead. The others were admitted. Investigations continue. 13 homeless after fire in Westmoreland. 4 children are among 13 people left homeless after fire destroyed their dwelling in Upstreet Belmont in Westmoreland on Saturday evening. One of the owners of the house, Dayton Richards, told reporters that the blaze was first noticed about 5:45 p.m. at the back of his house. "I was talking outside to a friend, and I see the smoke one at the back, and my baby girl was in the front room, and I run go in there and take her out, and the baby alone me could have saved," a terrified Richards said. When reporters arrived at the scene, scores of residents were seen running and fetching water to help put the fire out. Other persons in the yard were hurriedly removing their furniture and wetting their clothes to prevent the fire from spreading. However, the fire reportedly spread quickly, and soon after, the 3 other houses in the tight-packed tenement yard-style space were engulfed. "Me no save anything, just to close on my back," 22-year-old Richard stated. "It was a 5-bedroom dwelling. Me have to go start back from scratch. Right now, my heart hurt me. I was gladly taking any help that I can get," a destroyed Richard stated. Richard's father, Geton, popularly known as Pam Pam, said he was in a state of shock after losing a house to fire for a second time. "This is the second time I'm losing my house to fire. The first time was in 2017. Me no save anything, only the clothes on my back," the elderly Richard said. "I know one nice feeling if you have to start all over again. Me numb. Me alive, but me feel like me dead. I was coming from church and I got the news that the house on fire. By the time I reached the house, it burned down flat," he added. "I'm hoping I can get some help to start over again," Richards pleaded. 1 unit each from the Savannah Lamar and Blackwell fire stations responded to the fire about 6:25 p.m. and performed cooling down operations. A district officer told reporters that the cause of the fire is not yet known. No injuries are reported. Investigations are ongoing. Haitian migrants seek asylum. Lawyers ask government to reconsider deportation. The Haitian nationals who allegedly entered Jamaica last week have applied for asylum. The 37 migrants, including some young children, were recently taken before the court, charged with illegal entry, fined $7,000 each, and told they would be sent back home. Following their arrival at Boston Beach in Port Anne on Monday, July 10, the Haitians were taken to a temporary shelter in neighboring St. Mary for processing. Human rights lobby group Freedom Imaginaries met with the Haitians in St. Mary and subsequently, through a lawyer, wrote a letter to the government requesting asylum. Representatives of Freedom Imaginaries and attorney at law Marcus Goff explained that the Haitians fear prosecution if they return to their home country. The lobby group has sought to assist the United Nations Refugee Agency in getting the government to comply with the international protection process. Mr. Goff said the aim now is to prevent the deportation of the Haitians and have government instead give them access to protection and support services. He noted that the current dire conditions in Haiti sending back the migrants would amount to refoulement. When asked about the court proceedings relating to the charge and the fine of imprisonment of sentence, Mr. Goff said the stipulated 3 days were served while the Haitians were in state custody at the shelter in St. Mary. He also expressed concern that the Haitians have been taken to court without being given legal advice. The lawyer expressed hope that the government will show compassion for the Haitians who are facing a humanitarian crisis.
As we know, Haiti is a unique country, right? It's the least developed state. It has a whole history of trauma, based on colonialism and so forth. And so there's a host of international legal protections that are in place for Haiti and Haitians. And so for the government of Jamaica, as a neighboring CARICOM country who has received these 37 persons who have fled under traumatic conditions to now, prosecute them and then to return them to that situation, we think is basically tied in the face of international law and our obligations as a member state of UN and, of course, of CARICOM. The government has acknowledged receipt of the request for asylum. They have not, committed to halt deportation as yet, but we are still continuing to, press for that and hope that they will, let good sense prevail and international law take its place. But they have acknowledged receipt, so we know that they have received it, and so they are aware of their obligations also under international law. Yes, somebody can pay it on their behalf. I mean, the fine was really to pay $7,000 each or 3 days imprisonment, So, yes, I mean, we certainly can arrange to have that done if it is that they're going to be persisting with it. Of course, they are, we would say, in the custody of the state at present. And so those 3 days would likely then have elapsed in any event by the suction of time, So we think that is really, how it should be considered. And so that would have been spent. I mean, we are very concerned about that whole process of prosecution, though. We think that they certainly should have been afforded legal advice before they were taken to court and before they were pleaded on the charges. I mean, they had an interpreter, but they didn't get legal advice or legal representation regarding those charges. Now, even so, having been convicted, there is no necessary deportation that must follow as a result of that. And so it's still up to the minister, to order deportation or not. And so it doesn't flow that because they were sent to court and prosecuted and convicted that they must be deported. Nowhere does the law say that. Right, and to have them be able to be stabilized here. I mean, how would we feel as Jamaicans knowing that we set them back, right? There are about 8 children there, as young as I see, one looking like a 1-year-old, and to know that they're facing a serious risk of serious harm, sexual offenses, and also murder. I think we need to really think seriously about the situation, and it's something that we don't necessarily want, as a country to have be flooded by Haitians, but we need to be humanitarian in these times. It's a crisis that it is going through now, which is escalated, beyond even historically what has been troubling Haiti. And so no more than ever, Haiti needs his neighbors, needs his friends and his family to look out and to support them.
Justice Minister suggests that public sector workers should be mandated to make a will. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has suggested that government should consider mandating the making of a will by all public sector workers. This would help reduce the challenges experienced by the Administrator General's Department in settling claims for beneficiaries of dead left. Speaking at the Securing Your Legacy Roadshow in Montego Bay, St. James, Mr. Chuck noted that the AGD has never had to handle a case involving a member of the Jamaica Defence Force. This is because the JDF mandates all soldiers to have a will. He said a similar policy in all government entities would be helpful, especially for police officers who have multiple beneficiaries. He said a similar problem exists with public school teachers.
And it may well be that government agencies will have to mandate the making of a will. You know that the Administrator General is not administering one estate of a soldier because the JDF mandates that every single soldier must make a will. Can you imagine? Where the Administrator General is burdened with are policemen who died without making a will. And I have to tell you the truth, them have children in several places. And the baby mothers, the children, burden the Administrator General with requests because they know something left. Be it the pension, retirement benefits, or whatever property that police officer may have. It is the same with many public servants. I see a list of teachers. Hundreds of teachers died. People who should, with education, to just make a simple will. And now the Administrator General has the burden of having to call in the Ministry of Justice to see if there's anything there at the Ministry of Education for that teacher. If that teacher had made a will, the Administrator General would not come into play. So what one is saying is that we cannot overemphasize the need for everybody to make a will. And it may well be that government permanent secretaries should be told to encourage staff, not to force them, like the JDF. People have, options, but it would be good to just tell them, make a simple will. A will is a one-page document. Until you get a whole heap of property, then it gets to several pages. But at the beginning, make it one page. 2 executors, preferably. 1 line to say where you want to leave the property, and 2 witnesses.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell